While 2024 did have its fair share of bad things going on, we still got some genuinely good releases, some of which were huge talking points this year. And as we look past all the bad this year gave us, let us look into the actual good this year gave us. Here are the best songs of 2024. There was one beef in particular that dominated this year that everyone was talking about. No, not the Megan Thee Stallion and Nicki Minaj beef. That only lasted a week maximum. No, not the Ice Spice and Latto beef. That was embarrassing. And no, not the Cardi B and Bia beef. Nobody cared about that. No. We're talking about one of the greatest beefs in recent history. We're talking Drake versus Kendrick Lamar. Not only a test to prove who could rap better but also a test as to who can clap back the hardest. And after being pushed around enough to make a response, Kendrick made a power move when he dropped his first response.
I'm the biggest hater. I hate the way that you walk, the way that you talk. I hate the way that you dress. I hate the
6.5-minute track, nearly 7 minutes long, goes deep into Drake's character, nearly disassembling it to show everyone that he is not a perfect person. His first topic of interest is him dealing with fame. Sure, he has the money and power in the game but has never gotten respect from anyone in the industry. Even one of the game's biggest legends, Ludacris, entered a full-on beef with him. And you lose everyone's respect when you're going head to head with someone who defines the 2000s era of the genre. Outside of going against literal rap legends, he also goes into his upbringing. If you know Drake's childhood, you know that he grew up in two neighborhoods. One was a generally safe area to grow up in. The other was riddled with crime. Despite seeing it unfold in front of his very eyes, Drake hasn't killed someone, carried a gun, went to jail for it, or even witnessed one of his close friends get shot. He's a fake gangster who inherited the culture as his own to bring it to the masses. The one time he did get arrested though was for cannabis charges, not for shooting an AR. Kendrick then tells him to sing more and put this fake persona behind him and just be the person he was meant to be. The shift between actually rapping about his own experiences in life to fabricated storylines happened in 2018, the midpoint of his career, and it definitely made the people who knew him for that back then miss when he was actually genuine and articulate with himself. He then shows that Drake not only inherited the fake gangster narrative that he wants to sell the masses but also other cultures such as those of Jamaican dancehall and UK drill. And since he genuinely has nothing in common with said cultures he's putting on for, he stands out like a sore thumb when he does them. Even worse, his use of the N-word is called into question when Kendrick looks into his family tree and sees a predominantly white mother and African American father in the picture, then deciding to strip his usage of the word after being determined as actually white. After that, most of the damage has already been done. Kendrick ripped the bandage straight off, but even then, he wasn't done. Following a response track that called out Kenny's relationship with Whitney Alford, his current spouse, Kendrick then took it personally when dropping what was considered the nuclear bomb in the entire rap beef.
Dear Aubrey, I know you probably thinking I wanted to crash your party, but
the eerie 6.5-minute track sees Kendrick going after his family and how ungrateful they should be in having him. Verse 1 targets his son, the very same one Pusha T exposed on the story of Adidon. He tells him that he should be ungrateful to have Aubrey as his legal guardian in this world. He then tries to suit him for the many troubles the world has upon him. Second verse is about his mother. He tells them that he should rather be worried about his son's misogynistic habits that include his views on abortion and the R-word culture, along with the fact that he just doesn't like women. His mother also clearly doesn't approve of his son's usage of the N-word as shown in the beginning of Family Matters. In the same verse, he then shifts his focus over to his father, telling them that he raised a son who constantly manipulates women on a daily basis, even wishing death on the very person he put into existence. As cruel and as harsh as that seems, it makes very logical sense as to why he wants him out of the picture so that these women can live a happy life knowing they are not taken advantage of. He also states that anyone who plays his music is supporting the predatory antics that Drake is known for. He's also telling LeBron James and Steph Curry to cut ties with him, knowing truly what dangers this could proceed if they continue down the road they are trudging forward. Verse 3 is where he reveals that Drake has a secret daughter he has been absent for. questioning his poor parenting methods and if he's really taking after their youth or abandoning them to grow up in a dark and cruel world. Verse 4 is then about the man himself, exposing how he uses black culture in vain to further cultivate his image as the person he never was supposed to become. He is also overly sensitive when it comes to women and their personal issues, and despite 15 years of being in the game, he still doesn't get them. Along with that is a laundry list of things he has lied about, including his faith in Judaism, his BBL surgery, his incorrect portrayal of African American culture and him not writing his own material. But he's not done. Also lied about his kids, and instead of taking his own advice, he's gonna come face to face with his true self and any harsh truths he has to admit that he was covering up to the general public. And as he's defeated and has to look into re-evaluation, why not have some fun to celebrate the accolade?
Trying to strike a chord, and it's probably A minor.
The song that followed was an up-tempo West Coast anthem where Kendrick exposes the ties Drake has via his label, with him clearly stating that he's linked to known human traffickers and sexual deviants. On top of that, calls Drake for having a thing for girls below his age. His affiliations with the Atlanta culture are then called into question, seeing as that he exploited these artists to get to where he is now. The very first instance was College Park's very own 2 Chainz, who linked up with the Toronto staple in 2012, producing his widely popular hit No Lie. Then, years later down the road, he had a rap friendship with 21 Savage. The two would frequently collaborate, even landing a joint project together called Her Loss. And while it's safe to assume they cut ties with him, they won't get off scot-free knowing that they still have to face the repercussions working with the 6 fraud brings to your name. After the whole party died, no pun intended, he then went to do some reflecting on what once was. His new album, GNX, surprisingly came out of nowhere. A 12-track long album dedicated to a Book Grand National released on the 28th of November and featured the likes of many West Coast talents, including established names like Roddy Ricch and Wally the Sensei to up-and-comers like Dodie Six and Hitter J3. Along with the amped-up low-ride drop anthems this album has, it also has its personal moments, one in which makes for the second best written song on the album. On the album's 10th track, Kendrick reflects on being the connective tissue for Black Hippie, bringing forth most of the grandiose ideas he had for the group that kept them moving forward throughout the 2010s. He also talks about the disbanding of the group following creative differences and ego clashes, mostly Kendrick's with many of the other rappers in the group, and for that, he apologizes. But he's not sad and mournful. This gave him a chance to really expand on his own music and make the most personal experiences into reality with how he expertly crafts the pen and pours all emotions into a condensed track length. And as such, Kendrick has improved a lot, being the well-respected poet he now is. Fame is not all sunshine and rainbows when you make it big. There are some dark corners it, lo and behold, has for you. Even Tyler comes to terms with this in horrible suspicion that his greatest fear may be reality.
Things feel out of order. Look around, I'm not.
Tyler is coming to terms with paranoia, the suspicion of trust in others, as he feels like he's being watched constantly. As he lays it out in the first part of the song, normal everyday tasks like buying a house and having it all to yourself become increasingly difficult as you feel as you're gonna get judged for it and that someone already knows where you live. What makes it worse is that in the second verse, him even going to a dining establishment poses a challenge for him, with people asking for photographs and signatures. All he wants, at the end of the day, is his own peace that keeps him happy, but these people seemingly don't want to give it to him. Combined with an intense Zambian sample from the Ngozi family, it gives a nerve-wracking and unsettling feeling going into the track, further driving the narrative Tyler is pushing. 2024 had its fair share of emerging indie acts, including but not limited to Clairo, Japanese Breakfast, Mitski, Clarence Clarity and Snail Mail. One that wasn't on anyone's radar was Dev Lemons though, which was an instant regret if you weren't tapping into the soundscapes she was creating. The luscious and dreamy sounds of Give Mama a Hug, combined with its nearly endearing lyrics about all the mothers in the world, makes for quite the enjoyable listen. If you haven't heard it already, it should be very high on your list of things to check out from this year. Question: who benefited the most this year? If you didn't almost immediately say the LA rap scene, then you are lying to yourself. Among the many great projects it has brought us over the years, along with new albums that will be remembered years from now, it only seems right that the biggest experimental act from its city makes their own love letter to where they're from.
And everywhere you go, just keep on pushing dope.
Complete with a West Coast bounce and a chorus reminiscent of the late Nate Dogg. What's not to love about the song? Its messages for not giving up and pushing past any obstacle you put your mind to is times as motivating as it is real hearing it from someone like David. In a time where it seemed like everyone wanted us to fail, remembering that we won't ever let ourselves do that shows our immunity to those comments and how powerful this song truly was when it came out. Like I clearly said before, the LA scene keeps on winning and winning.
Oh God, you niggas lame. Oh God, you niggas shame. Oh God, you niggas ain't.
One of the shining beacons and new faces of the LA rap scene, Schoolboy Q, came through this year with his album of the year contender Blue Lips. Upon delivering this phenomenal album was also its third track, seen as him being grateful for the things he has in his life along with one of the coldest beat drops of the year. It's a very exciting listen as you hear the energy he provides to the track, making it more lively than ever and feeling like you're in the moment. Alright, look, despite the hate attached to his name this year, I could never really hate Yachty for what he does. The man is literally a chameleon, shifting into whatever he wants to be, so just let him do his own thing. That thing, in this case, being his ear for lyrical pen writing.
It's a cold Sunday to complain, I hold it in until it rain. I fought demons out the fame.
A laid back and chill conscious track, nearly 2 minutes in length, is one where Yachty sees himself coming to terms with life after being famous and the struggles it presents, with Yachty even showing that he's immune to anything they throw at him, along with financial losses being nothing to him, just showing that he takes anything he can get in a culture that wants to see you at your lowest. Following the abrupt genre switch up going into the 2020s, the UK's very own Charli XCX was looking to reinvent pop music into a vibrant space and give more life into it. Her dance pop album, Brat, which also became a viral moment this year, did just that. Started a new minimalistic movement that proves that you don't need to work with much to make something truly great. Along with reflecting on the death of one of hyperpop's greatest pioneers and how saddened she was by it, it gives her a great moment to open up more and sort of tell people how she's been dealing with it. The 9th track on the album does just that.
Always on my mind, every day, every night. You're still
Charli states Sophie as someone always by her side and always willing to be there for her even if she pushed her away at times where she felt self-conscious about her own being. Having left behind a bunch of material to work with, at times it can be a bit much to sing the songs in her memory knowing she isn't there to hit every note with her. She also praises her as a remarkable person for helping her out in times of need and even gave her advice on how to make her own music. It makes you feel like you miss someone you barely even knew. Or that's assuming that you aren't familiar with the legacy of Sophie. I'll just go with that since my viewers probably just got into her. Don't you just hate when an artist you've been anticipating for years isn't coming through with anything related to a new album and yet they come through with shit like this that makes you appreciate it as if it was a sign of something? Or is that just too oddly specific?
Ever since I was a chick, and why was this shit? Try to keep on the
Timeless shows a contrast in the two artists' lifestyles. 1. Carti's shows how self-confident he was in knowing he would be a huge name one day and his appreciation for classy fashion. The other, Abel's, shows how massive of a name he is and how his presence can be felt in the places that demand it most. Both come together for the ultimate showing off track that is incredibly infectious. You wanna hear about the greatest song from the shittiest era that almost never was? It will make you extremely sad for its output, but sure, I'll tell you about it.
I want you dressed up, sir. I can undress ya. The money.
This is Take Off Your Dress, one of Kanye's bolder cuts that describes both artists' taste for women, going into great detail about what they admire in them. It could have made an otherwise half-assed and slapped together album if nitrous oxide didn't seep into his brain cells and repeatedly told them to stop trying because life's too short to do that. This is why I question Kanye's actions. He doesn't think for the behalf of what his fans wanna actually hear. This is the same man who scrapped his greatest album for some boring Christian junk. Same man who promised us a better version of 24 that slightly let people down when the actual version came out. And mind you, the same person who thought that it would be a good idea to extract Pop Smoke's vocals from the shittiest acapella known to man, slap it on a half-assed beat and call it a day. This man stopped genuinely great music from coming out. I kinda hate him for it, but he's also on the list, which he probably won't often make in years to come. We'll just see though, if he blows it all or keeps his image going. That's for the road to decide now. You have no idea how exciting it is to hear an actual Westside Gun that sounds like he cares this time around. We're so back.
Hey yo, Shanae, head to toe with the loaded AK.
Everyone you know and love is here on the title track of his most recent album to be released, with each trading verses like their last. It's a great cut that features fantastic members from all 5 of its contemporaries being featured on it. There were a lot of people I was grateful for this Thanksgiving. Glad Vince Staples was one of them.
That's what's on walk like when the elephant in the room. Porsche trunk car, whatever niggas need to boom by.
A future sample with 2 of the current greatest artists out rapping on it. It can't get better than this, folks. It surely can't. Vince proves himself on verse 1, saying he is a force to be reckoned with on the mic. Peggy follows that up with his second verse where he says that his presence can be felt whenever he steps in a room. He also got his biggest Drake hater title stolen from him by a much shorter leprechaun-looking fella. You'll get it next time, buddy. Wisen up. It's a pretty great listen, obviously. Sometimes words aren't even enough to describe music. Sometimes you truly have to resonate with it and get lost in its structure and sound.
The let's crowbar the gate all the way. I hope the gate keep on the break.
As an exquisite look into the Haitian culture Mark has inhabited and worn on his sleeve, he proves himself as this year's most forward-thinking artists. As someone unique as him, it makes complete sense why he doesn't want his works publicly on display, meaning that you need to do some digging to find his other works. Along with the fact that he personally requested a lyric takedown on Genius, meaning nobody can post his craft. I can't even talk about it here, so I'll just tell you to check out the record. It'll be worth your time. Trust me. 2 back-to-back Charlie songs on the list. That cheeky Marquise could never.
It's so confusing sometimes to be a girl.
Charlie goes into the struggles that being a woman entails, such as everyone wanting to hit on you even with no intentions of satisfying their needs. Lorde contributes greatly to this, saying that she understands how Charlie feels and the difficulty she had in putting together her verse for the remix. She still went through with it and gave us an absolute bop though. With that being an upbeat and catchy song, this next one is the complete opposite. You'll see what I mean here in a second. Now some may definitely have complaints with the lead singer's screaming delivery on the song, as it may be, quote unquote, too scary for some, but that's the only real criticism I've seen people give them. Other than that, this song goes into very heavy topics of being confronted by his own mistakes and letting it take all he has left, followed by female metal singer Poppy's contributions, which add greatly to the song. Far from an easy listen when it comes to the list, but still a worthwhile one. In terms of overall lyricism in the music space and who's really got it on lock, some artists gained more recognition for theirs while others went under the radar. Rhapsody was, unfortunately, one who's went under the radar.
Oh baby, you like it raw, me too baby, but no new babies, that's word to the woo.
On a chill laid back beat, both rappers prove that they can rap with very clever double entendres. Wayne makes a play on Rhapsody's name where he likens it to Bohemian Rhapsody, a song by the band Queen. With this, he calls her a queen like the song. Then on Rhapsody's verse she likens herself to many different people, with her saying that she has the potential to make it big one day. We can only hope so. Billie Eilish has had an outstanding year this year, not only producing one of the year's biggest viral hits in the form of Lunch but also being Apple Music's Artist of the Year. All feats accomplished by her most recent body of work being hit Me Hard and Soft, and it was only deserving so.
Birds of a feather, we should stick together.
Track 4 of the 10-track album finds Billie Eilish talking about emotions tied to attachment. The song's message was almost overcomplicated upon release, but they decided not to. Expressing the love she has for her partner, she says that they should stick together and make this a thing. It's a really beautiful song and makes for a great listen. But hands down, the best song of the year is
It's cold again. Outside, something howls inside the wind. My stockpile.
This song is a nearly 9-minute depressing song about how time just seems to catch up to people when they think they're gonna live long, later finding out that they aren't. The symbolism of doves in this song symbolize being in love until your life gives out and it is no more, along with people around him dying and holding out hope for something good to finally happen when he knows it isn't gonna happen. It makes for a pretty difficult listen, taking all of this in, knowing the person who made the song is dealing with an internal battle they can't win. With that, the list has been concluded. All these releases and more defined the year we've lived through better than anything else could, and for that, they are the best songs that came out this year. But what do you think? What are your top songs of the year? Let me know in the comments below. And until my worst albums video comes out, I'm gone.